Hello, let's discuss array of primitives. So when we create array of primitives, for example, int, char, double, float, how does it work? What happens in the memory? Now, as you know, array means contingent memory. And one more understanding we have about array is that array allows us to store similar type of data. But in Java, it is not that true because in Java, you can create array where one element is int, other element is char, other is double, float, boolean, etc. Okay, so let's start with the array of primitives. How exactly array of primitives they work? So we have an example here, int arr, and arr is equal to new int 3. Now notice this syntax, int arr. In other programming languages, for example, in C and C++, if you write this syntax, you will get error. Why? Because compiler will say that you haven't mentioned the size of the array. So how will I create the array for you? That is what compiler will say. Okay. So that will be error. But in Java, this is not an error. Because in Java, this is not an array. Then what it is? It is just a reference which will be allocated memory on the stack. Okay. So let's go to the memory diagram. You know, this side we have heap and this side we have stack. Okay. So what happens here is ARR on the stack gets created. ARR reference gets created. And then that's it. It doesn't point to any memory. So you can say it has got null. Now ARR is equal to new int 3. Now in Java, array is created with the keyword new. Not always, not necessary. I will show you one more syntax of creating array, but behind the scene, always new keyword comes into picture. Okay. Now, when you say new int 3, this is actually an array. This is actually an array. So here, array of 3 elements, 3 integer elements will be created inside heap. So inside heap, you get this array of 3 elements. This is 0th element, this is first element, this is 2 element. As we know, array is a continuous memory. 0th element, let's say, is at 100. Next will be 104. Next will be 108. And ARR refers to 100. Okay. So this is what happens when you create array in Java. And now, how will you refer all these individual elements? You will refer obviously through reference. ARR 0, this one. ARR 1, this one. And ARR 2. So in this code, we are saying ARR 0, 10, ARR 120, and ARR 2, 30. Okay. So that's the way we access the array elements. And now, one more thing I forgot to mention here. As soon as array gets created here I told you array gets created, right? Where array gets created? Array gets created in the heap. As soon as array gets created, Java gives you one variable implicitly. You get one variable implicitly, and that variable name is the name of the reference dot length. Always the name of the reference dot length. When exactly this variable gets created? As soon as this array gets created, you get one variable from Java implicitly. The name of the variable is reference of the array dot length. So we have ARR, that's why ARR dot length. And what does it contain? It contains the size of the array, that is 3. And this ARR dot length you can use later in order to write your for loops or while loops in order to traverse to the array. What's the advantage here? Actually, if this variable is not there, what can we write here? We can write here 3. But when we write here 3, we must be uh, we must ensure that the size is 3. If by mistake we write 4, that will give us array index out of bound exception. So when we write number, always we have to be careful. We first should check what's the size, and we should write that size. Otherwise, we will get exception. But array.length saves you from all this. Array.length is fixed, is internally final. Okay, you can't change it. So when you write arr.length, that risk is not there. Which risk? Array index out of bound exception. You don't have to worry. You can say int I is equal to 0, I less than arr.length I plus plus, and that's the way you can traverse. So this is basically array creation, array of primitives. Whether it is int, char, float, double, doesn't make any difference. Now I would like to mention here one point, that suppose instead of these two lines, actually these two lines can be written as one line. How? Int arr is equal to new int 3. No difference. Okay, there's no difference between these two. Whatever happens here, same thing happens here. Not only that, not only that. Suppose you don't create array these ways, neither this way nor this way. You just say int arr is equal to 10, 20, 30. This is called as array initialization, and you do this especially when you are sure what values you want to put in the array. Now notice that this is also array creation, but there is no new keyword. Even though you have not used new keyword, but new comes into picture implicitly. Don't forget that. So even in this case, diagram remains same. What does that mean? The actual array gets created in the heap, and arr is a reference on stack which refers to that array, and you get dot length variable. Everything happens in a same manner, whether you create array this way, or this way. Okay, so that's it with the array of primitives. Thank you.